As COP26 has come to a close, there's a lot of big thinking and abstract thought in general about some of the most pressing issues. Probably the most important of which is, what on earth were you thinking giving David Attenborough a wobbly stand? Come on guys, he's royalty! Anyway, the major goal is to try and get to net zero carbon emissions and to limit global temperature rises to less than 1.5 degrees. Now that's going to be tough, but it is necessary, otherwise there will be death. I mean, look at this guy. Isn't he cute? Oh, it's a little brown bouquet melon, miss. So cute. But savour that picture because he's the first mammal to go officially extinct due to climate change. And if you don't want to be the next, then we need to stop thinking about things in the abstract and relate it more to us humans, the medicine, the physiology. So today, let me tell you about 5 things that we really need to get our teeth into. Climate change and air pollution go hand in hand because of the burning of fossil fuels and the farming of these absolute methane machines. And what they're eating is also bad for some of us because as it stays hotter for longer, the pollen seasons extend. So if you have hay fever, that sucks, bad luck. Particulate matter from industry and cars leads to both lung and heart problems as well. And in New York City, where some of you live, air pollution right now is estimated to cause more than 3,000 deaths per year. 2,000 people in hospital, 6,000 emergency visits for asthma, and that's only going to get worse. And when you're sick, it's expensive to treat, and in some countries you have to pay for that. And of course, you won't be much use to society until you're better. So as you begin to pull the threads of this picture together, we can see that what's bad for your health is also bad for the economy. So this isn't new for anyone. You've all seen The Day After Tomorrow, and every single one of you has turned to someone you know and said, oh, this weather's a bit odd for January, isn't it? And that's because global temperatures are rising. You've all seen this graph. And between 1980 and 2020, the Arctic sea ice fell, more than 3/4. The Greenland ice sheet alone loses over 1 billion litres of meltwater a minute. I mean, I can't even comprehend that. All I know is that Roland Emmerich is not looking so stupid anymore. You know what? I take that back, but you know what I mean. Temperatures are breaching 50 degrees C more than ever, and floods, droughts, storms are becoming more and more severe. And I said earlier it has to be less than 1.5 degrees. Well, that's the target. Well, current trajectories put us at 5.5 degrees by the end of the century, and that's conservative because as the ice caps melt, they release more potent methane than these methane machines. So that's just going to compound the situation. As I said right at the beginning, all plants and animals depend on a stable, narrow range of conditions to survive. Changing that stability causes extinction. Just ask my friend here. Oh, and if you don't want this channel to go extinct, then I would really appreciate a subscription to the channel. That would be amazing. So we humans are designed to operate within a narrow range of temperatures. So when things get hot, it's not great. Before you're even born, extreme heat can lead to things like low birth weight, preterm birth, even miscarriage. And it's not just pregnant women. Overheating is a problem. Just ask this guy. And that leads to heat stroke. And I know a lot of us get a bit sick and go, oh, I've got heat stroke. But I bet you don't. I bet you don't because heat stroke is deadly. And as temperatures rise, more people will get heat stroke. And what does it actually do? Well, when your body overheats, your gut leaks. And that causes loads of inflammation, which leads to clotting everywhere, organ failure, and then death. And if you can't hydrate someone or cool them down fast enough, they will die. But even if it doesn't get as serious as heat stroke, there are some other really common conditions which get worse. Cardiovascular disease is worse because as we get hotter, blood moves away from the core to the skin to help us dissipate that heat. That's why you get veiny when you're hot. But that means to maintain your cardiac output, your heart has to beat faster. And if you already have a weak heart, or if you're old, it's harder to pump oxygen around the body. And if you can't pump oxygen to your heart or your head, Well, you see where that's going. It can also ruin your kidneys because your kidneys don't function well when you're dehydrated, so it's easier to feel rubbish. And when you feel rubbish, you get sick, and when you're sick, all these conditions get worse, and so on and so on. I mean, sure, we could live in air-conditioned rooms, but remember, that's a pretty first world luxury, and it's not great for the environment either. Thinking about things, it's fairly obvious that as climate changes and population increases, things like malnutrition and famine are just going to become more common. But in your day-to-day life, in roundabout ways, that climate change might also make you sicker. Now, this is way too complicated to go into in detail, but let me break it down in a nutshell for you. Warmer temperatures are rubbish for us, but insects and rats, well, they love it. And they're pests, and they spread foodborne disease like salmonella. Similarly, excess rainfall leads to flooding, which takes these foodborne diseases into the farmed crops, infecting them. Lots of rain and deforestation also rips the soil apart, leading to heavy metals seeping into our kitchen table, like mercury in our water and arsenic in our rice. You know, this dirty water also enters the ocean, where it's fantastic for algae, and these giant algal blooms just suck the oxygen out of the water, killing everything underneath it. So again, you can see how all these problems compound each other and how they will directly affect you. And that's just scratching the surface. A huge body of research about mental health and climate change is now emerging, and I'm sure that some of you are feeling it, particularly my younger viewers. Mental health is an encompassing term, but climate change can impact people, ranging from minimal stress all the way up to clinical disorders like anxiety, sleep disturbance, depression, PTSD, and yes, even suicide. You can probably divide these into acute and chronic or long-term issues. In the short term, it's easier to understand. An extreme event like a wildfire or a hurricane can destroy your life. So stress, depression, PTSD, you can see how that happens. Longer term, there's like a pervasive undercurrent from climate issues, which slowly but surely lead to personal issues and community issues like violence and riots. Just remember what happened when we ran out of toilet paper. Hey, that's enough! Now, times that by 100. So earlier we talked about the physical issues that heat stress can cause, but your physical health is intertwined with your mental health. And it's no wonder that what we're seeing is that as one goes up, the other one is going up as well. Sadly, the disproportionate effect is on our younger people because they're the ones growing up with this looming disaster. And that's leading to mental health issues which we've actually coined specific terms for, like eco-anxiety, eco-guilt, eco-grief, and solastalgia. Okay, so, take a breath. It's not the end of the world. Well, not yet anyway. I mean, yes, on a global abstract scale, society and governments, they can make pledges, but you can do things too. And if every one of you does something, then there's going to be a mass effect, a bit like tribbles, but in a good way. So let me give you 8 things which you can do right now. Number 1, measure your carbon footprint. Calculator in the description. Try to make it 0, or if you can't, try to offset it. Number 2, install some solar PV cells or ask someone else to. You can make your own electricity and get paid for it. Number 3, switch to a 100% renewable energy supplier. Again, links in the description. Maybe switch after this video. Number 4, turn the heating down. Every degree you turn it down saves about 10% of your emissions. Jumpers were invented for a reason. And number 5, don't use a car unless you need to. Walk, cycle, use public transport or car share. Number 6, consider your diet. Ruminant animals like these guys belch out a load of methane, so cut down on red meat and dairy if you can. It doesn't have to be drastic, just maybe 1 or 2 days a week. And also think about your local seasonal foods, so maybe don't have pineapples at Christmas. And finally, engage others. The most likely person to have an impact on your behavior is someone who loves you. So tell your loved ones about this and how you feel. And if you're young and you think you won't have an impact on the older generation, I think you're more likely to have an impact than you think. Oh, and number 8, finally, vote. And I could tell you about this, but don't hear it from me, hear it from this guy.
If you are age eligible to vote the issue, vote like your life depends on it, because it does.
Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, give it a thumb, give it a subscribe, and you know what, most importantly with this particular video, maybe share it around as well. So look, take care, stay healthy, see you soon.